All right, so here is the deck out of the 445. Now I'm going to take on the worst job, which is trying to lift this up on the sawhorses, which is extremely heavy and not fun. All right, with the deck off, got her up on the sawhorses. So I want to show you some of the lubrication points on the top of the deck. So each spindle, 1, 2, 3 grease fittings. And then on the drive shaft itself, near the spline, there's one right here in the pivot point. And then there's another one right here where it comes together, and then there's one right here. So while I got it in this position, I'll lubricate these after I get it cleaned off. Alright guys, one of the things I want to check is the gearbox oil. So that's right here. There's a 5/16 Allen right here that you check it with. And this is supposed to be changed every 500 hours. I changed it 245 hours ago. But you're supposed to check it every 100. So I'm going to check it today and just make sure that we're good. So the first thing I needed to do, since I wasn't level here on my sawhorses, is I shimmed the deck on the sawhorses here and then got level, because what happens is once you remove this 5/16 Allen, you just want the level of fluid to be flush with the bottom of that. So it's important to be level. So the gearbox oil you use for this is a GL5. It's 85 weight, 140 gear lube. So we'll take that Allen out and we'll check it and see if we're to the correct level. I'm already seeing a little fluid, so that's good. You see a little bit dripping out here. So that's indicating to me that our level is still good. I'll bring the camera over and we'll see if you can see. So I think you can kind of assess the level there. You can kind of see it flowing there. So if you didn't have enough, what you do is you just take the top off of this here, you stick it in there, and then you just squirt it in until you have fluid coming out. And then go ahead and put the top back in. And since I'm still flowing a little bit and I'm level, I should still be good on my level. So I'm just going to put this back in. Also, right from the book, this is the what I just showed you, the GL5 lubricant. The capacity is 4.6 ounces if you were to drain and refill that. Okay, with the gearbox oil checked, we're going to grease our fittings. I use a Lucas heavy duty grease. It's the green can. It's just what I've always used. And over the years, I've been through several grease guns. You know, you get a lot of crappy ones. I just bought this one last year. I've been pretty happy with it. It's got a 10-year warranty. I think it came from Australia or New Zealand over Amazon, but it's a good gun. I'm just giving each one 4 pumps. I didn't really feel much. I think I did 8 on that one. I'll just go 4. Sure, we'll see some on the bottom. Here I can visually see it coming out after 3 pumps. And this one here is, it's not really closed, just more of a lubricating the shaft back and forth. So I try not to go too crazy on this one because it just makes a mess on you when you're putting on and off the drive line. I'm not sure if this one's taken grease properly. Alright, I'm going to get ready to turn over the deck, so I'm going to secure this drive shaft to the deck so it's not flapping all over the place. I've shared these with you in some of my previous videos. My favorite accessory on the planet, bungee cords. I'll put a link in the description. Just my favorite. So versatile, use them all the time. All right, now let's turn the deck over and we'll see what kind of ugliness awaits us underneath. Okay, so a little ugly in here. I had just recently mowed before I left town the other day, and I was having a hard time trying to find the right day to mow, so I did mow when it was wet, which I never do. So I'm sure a lot of this is recent from that build up, so I knew I was going to be taking it apart. So I just did it, and then I told you guys the other day I was mowing a trail down the road and I hit a bunch of extra rocks. So with my particular rocky lawn that keeps, doesn't matter how many rocks you pick up, they keep finding their way to the surface. So it's inevitable that my blades aren't going to last too long. So we'll give them a sharpening. I'll show you the old-fashioned way that I used to take them off, because until about 3 years ago I didn't have an impact wrench, which is the easy way to get them off, but a lot of guys don't. So let me show you the way to do it if you do not have an impact wrench, which is the way I did it for 20 years before that. Okay, first thing you're going to want to do, old-fashioned or not, you're going to want to take a wire brush to these bolts and make sure that they're clean. Otherwise, you're just asking to strip them out. So I'll take this, clean these off, and these bolts are 18 millimeters on this particular deck. All right, first the old-fashioned way. What I always do is I just have this block of 4x4 laying around, and it's always just sitting there ready for me to find, and I'm just always write some information on here so I don't have to look it up every time. So my bolt blade is always 18 millimeter, and one thing I forget from taking the blades on and off is sometimes it's hard to remember which way they go on, and it's critical that you get your blades on the right way. And what I found is on my blades, the serial number faces the grass. So if you always have them on that way, you got the right lift. at least for these particular ones. So what I do is I'm going to stick this block in here because I have to find a spot where it's not going to move. So we'll put it in here just like this. And once it's there, you're locked in and your blade can't move. So now you're going to need a cheater bar, most likely. And I just always have an old bar handy for this kind of thing. Stick your socket on there, line it up. We'll stick the cheater bar on, and then we'll just give it a tug. Geez, that thing is stinking tight. But here it comes. It'd be about impossible without this leverage. So now it's loosened up. We'll just take her the rest of the way off. So what we have on here is we got this bolt, and then you got this big washer, and then that's where the blade sits, just like this. And then on this particular one, there's this spacer piece. I always take this off and clean. Now I'll show you the easy way. With the impact wrench, you don't need a blade block, you don't need a cheater bar, and obviously you don't need a socket. You just need your impact wrench. So my tool of choice for this is, I got this a lot of years ago, Dewalt, just the 20 volt. You know, I don't use it enough to bother with having an air impact wrench. So this is handy for when I need it. So pretty nice when you have that tool to get them off, but the blade block works just as well with a little bit more elbow grease. All right, I'll go in and clean some of this up. The way that's always worked best for me to clean my deck is I just take a small pry bar and a wire brush and go in there and get most of it out. Works good. So yeah guys, this winter I'll probably do this one more time. I'll take it off. I'll do the same thing here, but then I'll probably pressure wash it and you know, put another coat of paint on it. I've done this every year since I've had it, and this deck is I think a 2001, so going on 20 years, and I think it's still in really good condition. Metal solid, there's no real holes. You see some little bit of rust on the top, but there's also a lot of layers of paint. One other area I didn't point out for lubrication is these guide wheels each have a grease fitting on them. I don't usually mess with those too often. Actually, this wheel here is about shot. The layers started coming off of it, so probably try to get a new one of those. So yeah, they all have one on them. Okay, this is about as good as I'm going to clean up the deck for today. So got most of the grass and debris out of there. I want to show you one other preventive maintenance thing I like to do before I go and sharpen the blades and put them back on. So just got my oil can here. I'll get it to start flowing. And then I just like to put a few shots of oil in there just so I can fill up the hole and see it. And then I always want fresh oil in there when I put my bolts back in. Just keep them nice and lubricated, keep the rust out. So I'll let that sit and work while I sharpen my blades. I'm by no means a sharpening expert, but here's my setup. I just have my little grinder on a piece of wood, and I'm actually just clamp it to the mower deck to keep the sparks and mess outside. So here's one I haven't done yet with what I just did. Okay, something else I want to show you. I just got my 3 blades sharpened up. I got a decent little edge on them. And I'm going to check them to make sure that they're level. I think that's one of the most important things, to have a level blade. And what happens is sometimes you might take too much metal off one side than the other side, and then the blade's not level. And if the blade's not level, it's not going to cut well, and it's going to be hard on your mower deck spindles and the bearings. So one thing I want to do before I check for level is I'm going to take my cup grinder on my angle grinder and just clean off some of this grass and debris, so that doesn't weigh it down. So I should have done that before I sharpened it, but we'll just go over it real quick. And if it was time for me to be painting my deck and everything, I'd go over this whole thing with the cup grinder. I just did this little section right here, and you can see how nice it cleans it up. These wheels are just incredible. These Dewalt ones. This particular one, what is it? It's a DW4910, but those things are amazing, but they make a huge mess too. So definitely want to do it outside, and I don't feel like making that mess today, so just wanted to show you that though. So guys, now that it's cleaned up, you can see my serial number here. So for the 54-inch deck, I'm running the M115496. I don't know if you can see that with the shadow, but this is the serial number side. So this is the side that touches the grass. Okay guys, so I'm all sharpened up here. At least Tennessee Yankee sharpening. And you saw I cleaned a lot of the blade surface off with the wire wheel. So now what I want to do is I'm taking this little thing. This is a blade leveler. I don't even know what you call it, but I got it a long time ago off Amazon. I'll find the description and put it in the link. But basically what you do is you take the blade, and I'd want to put it on the same way it's going to be on the mower deck. I don't know if that matters, but that's what I'm going to do. So this actually mounts this way on the mower, so the grass is down here, it's mounting up to the mower deck here. So this is where those serial numbers are facing the grass. So what you want to do is you want to look here and see, obviously I don't want my mower blade to be like this, because that would mean that I have to take a lot more, actually I've taken a lot more material off this side then, and I'd have to compensate on the other side and take as much off there. But you can give it a spin, and for the most part I feel like this blade is pretty level. I don't know if it's sitting on there right. There we go. But it seems pretty true just looking at it, and I don't see any, you know, major wobble one way or the other. So let's stick the other ones on. And again, it'd probably have to be significant for me to make a change to the sharpening on it. That looks pretty good. Feel free to comment if I'm doing this wrong, but this is the way that seems to work for me. So yeah, those all look pretty good. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and put them back on. And this has had a nice opportunity to work with the oil we put on there. So what we got to do here is on these blades in particular, they have to have the serial number facing towards the grass. So with that, I got the serial number facing towards the grass. We'll put the washer back on it and snug the nut down. And there we have it. Sharpened blades installed. Alright, I'm going to turn it back over. So one of the things I wanted to point out to you guys on this deck that I don't do, you probably noticed, is I do not run the belt guards on this, because the issue I've had with it is it seems to just pack grass in there. It's not completely enclosed, so grass gets packed in there, and then I think overall that's harder on the belt than anything. So I just leave it off, and that way it's easy to blow out and clean periodically. This belt still looks like it's in pretty good condition. This is the original belt, I believe. I'm not sure if the guy I bought it from in 2003 put a new belt on, but this one has still been on ever since I bought it in 2003, and it looks good. But I will I'll let you guys know the part number of this belt in the description if you're looking for one, because I have one in my cart. I was going to replace one this winter, but I didn't get around to it. It was extremely expensive this winter, and then I noticed the prices dropped down, but I've yet to buy one, but I can provide you with the part number. One other thing I want to share with you guys is the part number for this 54-inch shaft-driven deck that goes on the 400 series. So it's 54HDLAWN is the part number on this deck. Well, that's the name of it. I assume that is the part number too, but hopefully that's helpful. So this pretty much wraps up the maintenance on the deck. We've lubricated all the points except the guide wheels. We took the blades off and sharpened them up, cleaned the underside of the deck, and then we checked the gearbox. So in the interest of not making too long of a videos, I have other videos where I take this deck off of my John Deere 445, and I'll do another one where I install it. But I'll keep those separate videos, but I'll link them here in the end credits, so you can quickly find those if you're interested. So thanks for watching. I hope you find this content helpful, and go ahead and click that like or subscribe button. You'll find other content too. I have John Deere 445 playlist with a bunch of other videos, troubleshooting, etc. So we'll see you on the next one.